Now that we've inserted all our photographs, and as I mentioned in the previous tutorial, what I want to do here is go through the navigation on the left there and adapt it so that it is much more relevant to what we want. At the moment, by default, once we set this layout up, as we have done earlier on, then automatically we see these 4 links included. That doesn't mean we are restricted to just using 4 links. We can use as many as we like. I'll show you that in a moment, but first of all we'll get started by converting our link number 1 into a home button link. Now I know in the previous tutorial we also used our banner image running across the top to be a rather large home link button, but of course I also want to use this navigation here to include a textual home button too. Therefore, the quick way of doing this is place your cursor at the end of where it says link 1, and then by holding your shift key down and then repeatedly hitting the left arrow key until you have it all highlighted. Alternatively, you could have left clicked at the end and dragged over it and that would have highlighted it as well. But once you do have it all selected, then that means you can type in over the top whatever you want to be written here. Now I've got my caps lock on, although this isn't necessary, but because I have, I can now type in home over the top, and that instantly replaces where it said link 1. Let's do the same with link 2. Once more I'm highlighting it in exactly the same way, which means I can now type in shops, and that replaces link 2. Let's move down to link 3 now, so highlighting it all once more, I'll type in activities over the top to replace that. Okay, simple enough. Now I'm going to show you a different method, and this involves using our code view. So I'll click on our code button here to display all the code. And because my cursor within the design view was within the activities link, that's where the cursor is at the moment, at line 152. Well, you'll notice I've only got one link left, link 4. Well, in actual fact, I want more than 4 links. So what I could do is highlight any of these lines, and I'm going to do this one, this activities line. So I'll left click at the end and then highlight that whole line, and then I'll right click on it and run down to copy, which now means if I come to the end of activities, that line, just after the code, and select there, I can hit the enter key on my keyboard to create this blank space, and then you'll notice my cursor automatically gets taken to the beginning of that line, line 153, this blank line, which means I can paste in what I've just copied. So I'm going to use Ctrl+V on the PC. If you are using a Mac, you'll have to substitute Control for Command, but once you do paste it in, then we now see exactly that same line. Of course, we don't need 2 navigation links called activities, so we're going to replace that word, activities, in our second line here. The easy way of doing this is by placing your cursor just after S and repeatedly hit your backspace button until you remove all of that word, and then simply type in the new link name that you want to be inserted here. Well, I'm going to call this Photos. Consequently, within our navigation, anybody selecting this particular button will be taken to a new page related to any photographs of the village. Now I also want to add another link in for videos. So by placing my cursor after where it says Photos and that line of code, making sure the cursor is at the end, I'll hit the enter key on my keyboard once more to create another empty line. And simply because we've still got retained in our clipboard what we copied a few moments ago, i.e. the activities line, well, I can do the same thing. I'll hold Control down and hit V, remembering of course to substitute Control for Command if you are on Mac. Therefore, once this line of code has been pasted here, I need to remove where it says activities. So once more, I'll place my cursor just after where it says S, hit my backspace button repeatedly to remove activities, and then this time I'm going to replace it with movies. Let's see what this looks like so far. I'll go back to my design view, so by clicking on the design view button there, we now see our navigation is building up. Now I'm going to continue. I'm going to add in another link here. This time, even though we've not got it on our preview that we've seen a couple of times already, I'm going to add in another link here pertaining to the village's history. So I'll place my cursor just after this line, hit my enter key once more, and within this blank space, I'm going to use Ctrl+V to paste in this line again. I'll remove activities and replace it with history. And then finally, we don't need to paste anything else in because we still have that last link, link 4. So I'm going to remove that and I'm going to replace this with contact. Okay, all done. Let's go back to our design view. Now before I do anything else, I want to save it, so I'll run up to File and down to Save. And now we'll preview this, so I'll hit my live button. Therefore, as we roll over the navigation, we can see that this navigation works for us with all our new links. And not only that, we see that visual clue that these are links to, because the background for each individual link slightly changes colour. And that's the beauty of using this layout starter page. All this is done for us. I'll disengage the preview now, so I'll select the live button once more. Now you'll probably know that there is a convention when we use navigation, in that the words that we use for our navigation have a line underneath individual words. And this is here simply to provide a visual clue so that the user knows these are link buttons. However, I think in this case, the navigation running down here is pretty obvious what it is. So I want to remove those underlines, and I don't want to do it individually for every single one. I want to do it so that all those underlines are removed simultaneously. And we can do this by coming down to our Page Properties button, and once selected, in our category column here, come down to this option, Links CSS. And now you'll see down in this field, where it says Underline Style, well at the moment it's set to Don't Change. However, if I click on this drop down arrow, well you'll see all these different textual options. And it's up to you really what you want to choose, but I want to choose this one, Never Underline. This isn't going to stop the link working, the links will still work, however they won't have this underline style applied to them. We won't see that underline. So with it selected, I can then come down here and hit apply, and even within our design view, you'll notice that those underlines have been removed. So to confirm this, I'll hit OK, and then once more just to check it out, I'll hit my live button so that we can preview this. And there you go, my navigation is still working, however we don't see those underlines. Right then, that's us done for this tutorial, now that we've looked at adapting the navigation.